Welcome to the Organic MD podcast with Dr. Damon Miller and myself, Carlisle Coash. Welcome back, Dr. Miller. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's good to hear your voice, Carlisle.
Always good to hear yours.
I just really enjoy doing this. It's a good day for a podcast.
Always.
Always. Here we are.
So,
go ahead.
What are we leaping into?
We're going to leap with both feet today into a subject that's really at the core of all of this work with the Better Eye Health Program. And that is about how there are powerful tools that support regeneration. And it's important to understand, and I just want to get into that in this, what'll be a pretty brief podcast, but the notion of how you're going to help your eyes if you have a serious retinal challenge like macular degeneration or retinitis pigmentosa or Stargardt disease. I don't have any magic. I don't have any ways that I can take cells that are damaged and replace them or repair them. But what I do know is that the body knows how to do that. I can't heal your eyes, but your body can. I can help your body have the tools that it needs and the resources and make sure that everything that needs to be working is working so that your body can heal your eyes. And one of the things we know, because of a lot of very elegant research, which I'm not going to bore everybody with here, but we know that when something gets regenerated in your body, it involves something called the adult stem cell system. So we are born with this elegant system full of stem cells that are able to go where damage occurs, go where help is needed, and completely restore and regenerate like new the cells that are damaged. And the reason for that is, that fact is why we titled our book "Stem Cells Heal Your Eyes." We're talking about adult stem cells. They are not some foreign stem cells that somebody injects into you. You've got the best stem cell system in the body. The work that we've been doing, trying to shore up and support your own stem cell system, the results from that have been far better than anything anybody's reporting working with injected stem cells. And so, we're sticking with it because it works and because we've seen it work. And now we kind of understand why it works.
It's worked. From birth until death, it works.
Yeah.
It may not work. Sometimes it's not working as well, or it slows down, or it's not as effective for other reasons, but it's always doing something. When you cut your finger and it heals, that's that system working,
break a bone or something like that. Yeah.
In a very basic way. I can't remember what you would know, but all of our, tissue is regenerating. I don't know how many times throughout our lives. I think isn't there, like, even the tissue in your organs, like everything regenerates many times throughout your life, because that's what the system is doing. There's so much going on. Your body is doing so much for you, even if we don't realize it.
Right. And, in some tissues, and this is something, it wasn't that long ago that I was in medical school, but basically the teaching when I was in medical school was that the brain and the central nervous system tissues, like the eye and the spinal cord and the brain, they don't regenerate. You got a certain number of cells when you're born, and that's it, and if you let them fall off the boat, they're gone. So now it's understood that no, these cells all regenerate. And like I say, there have been some Nobel Prize awarded for the tools, the probes, the work, the research that shows that. But the fact is that the cells in your brain and your eye are probably turning over at least every 10 years, maybe more often. But we're talking about some of the most complex tissue in the body, literally. These are the most complex tissues in the body. They don't repair or regenerate quickly, but they're capable of it. So again, it's one of these things where, we know that the programs that we have, the programs that we do with people, that they work, but you got to work them and you got to stay with them. They will, if you do everything we show you to do, they're going to work. You're going to get improvement in your vision, improvement in the health of your eye, but you may work on it for a year before you see any benefit. So it takes a certain mindset that you're in this for the long term. But interestingly, one of the one of the tools we use in the program is something called microcurrent stimulation. We use the unit from microstim, and the motivation to do that came from some early work from an orthopedic doctor, and he was looking at um, why certain animals like frogs and salamanders and things can regenerate. You cut their leg off, it grows back, and he's going, well, that's pretty cool. Why can't we do that in people? And so what he showed was that we sort of have that ability, but we don't have the ability to go full force. So that ability, when you amputate an arm off a mammal, that ability goes far enough to heal the wound, but it doesn't go far enough to regrow the leg. So he figured out through some very elegant research, he figured out that he could use these externally applied electrical fields and actually get a limb on a mammal that had been amputated to regrow. And so just to throw out to Grace Halloran, PhD, who was the woman who did a lot of the pioneering work in this and that I worked with till the end of her life. She and I had this thought, well, gosh, if you can regrow an amputated limb on a mammal, maybe we can use that technology to help regrow cells in the eye. And using that technology and all the other things she'd figured out, you actually can. We actually see people regenerate their retinas, regain vision in a long-lasting way. And so, but it takes time, it takes patience. And some of the other things we do, it's not just, again, it's not like there's this magic bullet. You just, throw some electrodes on your eye and treat for a while and boom, everything's better. Some of the other things that are important we do with tools from things we've learned from Oriental medicine. We do not needle acupuncture, but we do acupressure. You can stimulate the acupuncture points with pressure. And that turns out to be extremely effective. So we have a whole program for showing you how to do that. Things you can do to improve circulation in the head and the eye, because you need to be bringing in nutrients and oxygen and all that kind of thing. And so we do some tricks that were learned from physical therapists and chiropractors about how to use simple exercises to improve circulation in the brain and the eye. We do one thing, which is kind of a specialized thing, color therapy, because certain colors stimulate circulation in the retina. So we have these lamps that expose the eye to certain colors. And then, of course, the microcurrent stimulation, whether you're using it in the eye or on a broken bone that's not healing, it improves circulation, removes toxins, and stimulates the health of the cells there. And interestingly, one final thing that the microcurrent stimulation does is it seems to draw circulating stem cells to the area being treated. And we go a lot more into the mechanisms, the science, the research that discovered this and that proves it in the book Stem Cells Heal Your Eyes. I'm not going to go into a lot of these details in the podcast, but you can get that book on Amazon. It's a large print book. It's an audio book. It's a Kindle book, an e-reader book. You can get it. It's all there. But the final thing, I think, just to kind of put this all in perspective, just about the things we do with the physical things we do in the program. The final thing is to use macular degeneration, which is the most common of all these problems. It's not the only one, but to use macular degeneration as an example, the most common form of that is age-related macular degeneration, ARMD. And that one often doesn't show up until people are in their 60s, 70s, 80s. They go their whole life. They've had perfect vision, been very healthy, and then suddenly they get into the later years and their vision starts to deteriorate. They go see their eye doctor. They're told they have this degenerative disease. Well, one of the things we've learned is that just about everyone who has that problem has an abnormal gene that predisposed them to it. So now there are a lot of people who have that abnormal gene that never have any problems at all. That's the topic of our next podcast, is about how your genes are not your destiny. But say you do have a diagnosis of macular degeneration. And now you're being told, I'm telling you, that you have a gene that predisposed you to that. The question you really want to ask yourself, I'm proposing, is how in the world did I go 60, 70, 80 years into my life with no problems in my eye if I've got this abnormal gene? And the reason you're able to do that is that your body was taking care of you and taking care of your eyes. Your body was fixing things faster than they could break. Your body was keeping that gene suppressed. And if all we do is address those systems that are responsible for regeneration, support them a little bit, make sure they've got the resources they need and things like that, your body will continue to do what it did for the whole first part of your life and fix your eyes. So again, I can't fix your eyes, your body can, but I know how to support your body so that it'll do the work. And that's what the Better Eye Health Program is all about. And that's how we do that. Theory behind that is all in Stem Cells Heal Your Eyes. So I mean, it's a complex thing. Just know that it works. You don't need to understand why it works. You just need to do it. And if you do it, it will work. The question becomes more, will you do it? Not does it work? The question becomes, will you do it? And, some of that has a relationship to the mind body work. How do you commit to something, to salvage something really important to you? Why do some people do it and some people don't? And then there's also, like everything else, we talked about this in the last podcast. When you have trauma in your life, or when you have any issues like that, usually the scars that it leave are both physical and emotional. So that's what we mean by mind-body medicine. You get whacked by something in your life, it whacks you emotionally, it whacks you physically. So very often, when you look at the people who have an abnormal gene for macular degeneration and go their whole life with no problem, some of the things that might separate them from the people who do end up with the diagnosis might have to do with some emotional things. What were things in your life that were hard to see, hard to look at, for example? But, I know you, Carlisle, have, in working with people in very dire health situations, you've seen, the ways that there's this almost poetry between the way that the mind and the body are affected by the things that happen in our life.
Yeah, for sure. It can be very powerful. And so at least if we're willing to acknowledge that it's possible, then I think something can happen. And one of the things too, because so often, at least with these eye diseases, things that a person has done their whole life, playing golf, being a bridge, playing bridge, having outdoor activities, often those things disappear. Right? There's a way in which, when your eyesight, obviously, if you can't see very well, it's going to be hard to play golf. It's going to be hard to do these things that you've normally done. And I think also too, because the message to many is, well, there's nothing that can be done. I mean, I've known people who have macular degeneration. Their eyes are seriously deteriorating. And I've said, hey, you maybe check this out. My friend Damon has done this for a long time and has seen really good results. Well, my ophthalmologist says there's nothing that can be done. And so they're the expert.
Yeah, it's that medical hexing thing again.
Right. And so it's like, I guess I have this and I'm just going to go blind. Oh, okay. Okay. But I think that one of the things that we do in terms of the regeneration piece, because visualization can be pretty important to, and this is, I think, the case with a lot of healing. When you hear these stories of people who, I was a really bad accident and I can't walk, but now they're walking again. And if you talk to them about some of the things that they did to get there, many of them are visualizing, I'm going to walk again.
Yeah.
I'm setting my mind to that. It might be, they might be visualizing their back healing or the bones healing or whatever, but usually the most important is a visualization of, I can get there. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I see myself playing golf again. I see myself doing the things that I was doing before. I see myself walking again. in the case of if you were injured, or
Yeah.
sometimes like if like when I've been in really challenging situations, like if this has happened a couple of times, like outdoors or something, and I'm going to hike up to the top of this mountain, but it's like, wow, this is going to be really hard. Well, I'm just seeing myself up there already. Do you know what I mean? And then
Hmm.
that somehow I think sometimes that pulls you through the challenge that's right in front of you.
Well, the visualization is interesting
Yeah.
because there's very good data. I mean, people research this, and it's interesting because in a way, some of the data on the value of visualization at improving healing and repair is better than a lot of the work that justifies some of the drugs that doctors prescribe every day. I mean, it's good, repeated by many people over time. But what's interesting, I find, when I look through that literature, is that the style, the type, or the work of visualization that seems to work the best is not to get in and try and micromanage your body, saying, I
Right.
want you to open up the little vessels to my eyes and bring those vitamins in and things like that. That doesn't seem to work so well. What seems to work really well is you're giving your body the long view. You're kind of using your mind to let your body know where you want to be. So visualizing, in the case of eye disease, visualizing, something 20 years down the road where you're in a park with your family having a nice picnic. It's a beautiful sunny day. You can smell the flowers. The birds are singing. You drove there. You played golf that morning. You're playing bridge that night with your friends. Your vision is perfect. You're just, that's where you want to be. That if you create that strong vision of where you want to be, your body will go, oh, that's where they want to be. Well, I got to figure out how to get them there. And your body responds by doing that. Athletes do this all the time. Athletes use this
Yeah.
routinely.
Yeah.
Soldiers use this.
Yeah.
It's these are techniques that are so powerful, and unfortunately, they're not used in medicine as much as they could be. So that's why we're bringing them up here, because this will benefit you. And it also, not only does it help the healing, it addresses the thing you're talking about. Yeah, there are things I need to do every day to get this done. Having that kind of clear vision that you hold on to, that's often also tells your body to, however you do it, find the motivation to keep me doing those things.
Yeah.
Keeping, eating well, exercising, doing all the stuff I need to do. Yeah.
I think if you've read or seen the film The Peaceful Warrior, that's a great example of this, because the gentleman who wrote it, uh, he ended up, I mean, he was always an athlete, but he had a very serious injury that he recovered from, to the point where he actually competed in the Olympics with an injury that should have resulted in him never competing in the Olympics.
Right.
But a lot of what he's exploring is this visualization that is used in sports a lot of, if I see myself at crossing the finish line, like so I'm starting this race, I see where I'm headed. I see myself running through the tape first, that there's a
Hmm.
way of like setting that idea in our mind in a very strong way. And I think the better the athletes that are really strong all do an aspect of that. Like it helps focus the mind, and um, also give a point of reference for the future.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting here. People think of California as being sort of into odd, airy fairy stuff and things like that. But
Well, we are
well,
actually.
yeah, we are. I admit it. But what I found interesting, just in part of this, was that there was a period not that long ago when the San Francisco 49ers, the football team, they were a dynasty. I mean, they were just, they were just winning everything. Um, title after title, year after year. And uh, word got out that one of the things they were doing, how are they doing this? What are they doing? And it wasn't special supplements or hidden steroids or anything like that. The whole team was really engaged in this thing of mind body medicine. They were
Mhm.
meditating, they were visualizing, they learned techniques of breathing so that they could go out on the field and not have their heart racing. They were just serene and primed and ready, and it was all kind of stuff that everybody else was, oh, that can't do anything. That's not going to help
Mhm.
you win the Super Bowl. It's
Right.
and And yeah, so now all these teams are doing it.
Yeah.
So you got to find something else. Well, I'm gonna say we just leave it there. I just want to just recap. The things we do in the program that we know support regeneration are the visualization, but also the exercises, the microcurrent stimulation, the acupressure, those techniques from um, Oriental medicine, some of the supplements, and yeah, just if you do it, it works. You just got to do it. We know what to do. If you need help, call us. And if you have questions, read the book "Stem Cells Heal Your Eyes." That'll kind of let you know that we're dealing with something real here. So, anything else you can think of? Okay.
I think that's good. I
Okay.
will look forward to having you all join us for
Part
the next
7.
installment.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller.
Thank you, Carlisle.